Hi, welcome. I'm Melissa Cole, your great colleague, and it's my honor to lead our weekly PD to this afternoon. And today we are going to dive into the concept of critical pedagogy. What is it? Well, I've received your entrance tickets, and from that, I have an idea of what you all already know. We'll discuss what the theory is today and explore some practical applications of it in the K to 4 classrooms like here in our school. And it's my hope that by the end of the session, you will walk away feeling empowered and knowing that as a teacher, you can be an agent of social change if you're willing to take up the call. So let's get started, and we're going to begin with some backwards planning, as we like to say in the biz. I want you to close your eyes or lower your gaze and picture this. The year is 2040. You are shopping at the Trader Joe's in Harlem. You've got your reusable tote bag and your shopping list in tow. Fettuccine Alfredo is on the menu for tonight, and you reach for a bottle of peach Bellini when you hear a voice, Miss Cole, or insert your name here. And it's one of your former students. You barely recognize them, but they instantly and easily recognize you because you haven't aged a day. And you'll spend the next few minutes or so catching up. Who is your student in the year 2040? What kind of human did you help cultivate? How will they say that you inspired them to be an agent for social change? Take a few silent moments to yourself and consider that. And bring it back. Henry Giroux is a prominent critical pedagogy theorist, and he tells us that schooling has an inherent potential for developing into a force for social change. So, accordingly, we could say that makes teachers these special agents and the right ones to harness and leverage that force. Teachers are in the business of producing social change. But how do we get there? How do we harness that force? Critical pedagogy gives us the means to be agents of social change by helping our students know that they have a voice in this world. So, what is critical pedagogy? Author Peter McLaren tells us that critical pedagogy is fundamentally concerned with understanding the relationship between power and knowledge. McLaren explains that hegemony is a struggle in which the powerful win the consent of those who are oppressed, with the oppressed unknowingly participating in their own oppression. So, as teachers, if we're to produce change agents, then it's crucial that we understand the relationship between power and knowledge so that we don't end up passively perpetuating the hegemony of the dominant culture. So let's put a pin in the theory for now because it's game time. Let's play What's the Rule? Take a few silent moments to yourself to examine the images on the left, thumbs up side, yes side, and compare them with what you notice on the right, thumbs down, no side, and consider what are some of the attributes that the images on the left in the yes column have. What's the rule? Now that you've had a few moments, a little bit of time to accumulate some ideas on your own, turn and talk. Okay, track me, track me. So, what I heard from you all, I heard participation, being active in society, positively contributing to your community. And these are all, let's name the concept, these are all attributes of citizenship, good citizenship at least. This is what it looks like, the left side. This is what it looks like to be a good citizen. So, as teachers, how can we be an agent of change by cultivating students that end up in that yes, thumbs up column? So, we define critical pedagogy as understanding the dynamic of power and knowledge. And let's first explore power and how we get our students to question where power lies in our society, where it's derived from. There's the government, the dominant culture, but Why don't we first examine, I think we must examine the power dynamic between student and teacher. Father of critical pedagogy, Paulo Freire, says education has become an act of depositing, in which the students are the depositories and the teacher is the depositor. Let's zero in on this traditional, maybe antiquated idea that a teacher should be at the helm of the classroom, a sage on the stage, if you will. I think that at our school, we have taken many steps away from that idea, and we have began to embrace student centered, student led models, especially when it comes to discourse. I think that's what we do really well. But I still think that we can do more to reimagine the student teacher power dynamic, especially in our educational context, when many of the students that we serve come from historically marginalized groups. I want you all to watch this super abridged version of a clip from the 2000 film Finding Forrester. And while you're watching it, consider whether the professor is using his power to cultivate agents of social change.
You said my skills extend farther than the basketball court. Farther relates to distance. Further is a definition of degree. You should have said further.
Are you challenging me, Mr. Wallace?
Not any more than you challenge Coleridge.
Man is the only animal
That blushes. Or needs to. It's Mark Twain. Come on, Professor Crawford.
Get out. Get out.
You said my skills extend.
Could your student correct you? Could your student challenge you? So this example might seem pretty severe. A student's kicked out of class for questioning a professor, and the teacher is up here and the student is all the way down here. As a teacher, where are you on that power continuum? In an elementary school setting like ours, this could look like, do this because I said so. Let's celebrate another example of teachers disrupting that teacher-student power dynamic here at our school. So some second grade teachers met to discuss the main idea of a poem. And the main idea consists of a poem's literal meaning and deeper meaning. This is the way that they define it. In their meeting, the second grade teachers determined that the deeper meaning of this poem was to admire your friends. Let's read the poem very quickly. It's called You Ought to Meet Denitra Brown by Nikki Grimes. You ought to meet Denitra Brown, the most splendiferous girl in town. I ought to know, 'cause she's my friend. She's not afraid to take a dare. If something's hard, she doesn't care. She'll try her best, no matter what. She doesn't mind what people say. She always does things her own way. Her spirit's old, my mom once said. I only know I like her best 'cause she sticks out from all the rest. She's only she, Denitra Brown. So the teachers named in their meeting that the deeper meaning of this poem was to admire your friends. So when they presented this poem to students, the students thought that the deeper meaning of this poem was to give shine to your friends. So instead of reframing what the student said, rounding up and telling them, oh, no, it's admire your friends is the language that you want to use. The teachers kept that language intact, and they opted to stamp the poem's deeper meaning using precisely the words that the students used, which was to give shine instead of the more purportedly more sophisticated word admire. So when you affirm your students' ideas and their voice, we're setting the stage for them to feel confident in using their voice and putting forward their ideas and being agents of change. So what are some practical ways that we can disrupt the teacher-student power dynamic in our elementary school setting so that we can instead become facilitators of more student-driven learning experiences, more? We can remove terms like because I said so, as I mentioned before, remove that from your vocabulary and instead offer clear explanations as to why you're asking students to do what you've asked them to do. Apologize when you make a mistake. Because we have respect for our students. It's not too late to say sorry, to answered what Justin Bieber opined about in his hit song. You could build a learning alliance with your students as proposed by Dr. Zaretta Hammond in her book on culturally responsive pedagogy. Show students that you're a team working together to achieve learning goals. Allow students to write cognitively guided instruction CGI problems. Here at our school, we have a math block in the afternoon, cognitively guided instruction CGI, and we could give students an opportunity to have some agency and write one of the word problems. Avoid rounding up students' words, as we just discussed in the instance of the poem. And you could even have lunch with your students in the cafeteria once a week. One of my professors did this when I was an undergraduate student, and it was really nice to get to know him and on that level. And you could allow students to publish their work globally, maybe publish on social media, and allow them to start sharing their voice with the world, with their community in the world. Now it's your turn. I'm going to give you all 2 minutes to draft another bullet point that we could add to this list. You can use the Post-it notes that you have on your tables, and when you finish, you can put the note on the anchor chart that we have on the right side of the room. McLaren reminds us that by interrogating their daily practice, teachers are encouraged to seek ways in which they might disrupt oppressive tendencies in the process of teaching and learning. Can tend to be a little oppressive. So the too long don't read version of it all is to always consider looking for ways to increase student agency. So for instance, in my class, sometimes the students, their Chromebooks freeze, and instead of just restarting it, they raise their hand and they wait for me to come over to restart it. And so that's dependent, and we want to build independent critical thinkers. So I often go over and restart the computer, show them this is how you restart the computer. I say this is something that you can do on your own. You don't even need me. And I think that that's empowering. Let's turn our attention now to knowledge. How is knowledge constructed and who constructs it? So for this, let's visit what theorist Peter McLaren tells us about knowledge. Knowledge is a social construction deeply rooted in a nexus of power relations. Knowledge acquired in school or anywhere for that matter is never neutral or objective, but is ordered and structured in particular ways. Certain types of knowledge legitimate certain gender, class, and racial interests. Whose interest does this knowledge serve? Who gets excluded as a result? Who is marginalized? Critical pedagogy asks how and why knowledge gets constructed the way it does, and how and why some constructions of reality are legitimated and celebrated by the dominant culture, while others clearly are not. We can see how knowledge and power intersect. Those in power in our society construct what is knowledge. They decide that high schoolers should read The Great Gatsby instead of reading The Color Purple. So as teachers and instructional coaches here, every curriculum decision is a choice to legitimate some knowledge and to delegitimize others. We always have to remain cognizant of that. Critical pedagogy in action here in our school. Let's celebrate another instance when, right here in our school, when a teacher sought to illuminate knowledge that wasn't aligned with that of the dominant culture. In early November, one second grade classroom chose to share the history of both Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. So didn't leave out one or the other. This happened during their morning meeting, and it allows students to access both the knowledge and to criticize power in our society. So, some practical applications. How can we really actually bring this palpably, tangibly into our K-4 classrooms? You can consider adding bilingual books to your classroom library, even if there aren't any ELL students in your classroom. You could discuss international holidays and events, like the case with the Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. You could aim to use authentic materials, like my nephew's sixth grade teacher that gave them a math assignment, a math project to compare the prices at key foods in Food Town using what they've learned about percentages. And you can be open to cultural and linguistic expressions. Like I had a student in my class on their morning work write "cuz" with the apostrophe in the front. And instead of saying, "Don't do that," I asked her why she did it. And I learned that it's quicker and faster to write it that way. So your turn. I'm going to give you 2 minutes now to draft another bullet point to add to this list. Write it on a Post-it note and add it to our anchor chart. This wasn't here at our school, but I heard a teacher remark to her class, "This is just a job to me." Yeah, so no, I would hate to hear my surgeon say that. It's cliche, but what we do as teachers is more than just a job, in that it affords us the opportunity to be an agent of social change every single day in millions of micro moments. And we can show our students how to take up arms using their voice as a weapon. And this is the means that they have to dismantle the unequal conditions and disparities in their community, in their region, in their state, in the country, and in the world. Thank you all for attending this session. And one last call to action before you leave. Slack someone here. Will you be my accountability partner? Someone you would feel comfortable having them call you out. And then also on the other side of that, maybe give you some shine on any of the things that we talked about today.